AITA, I blew my Thanksgiving up over a photo, so kinda long post coming. Over the past few months I've noticed that my mom has my siblings' graduation pictures up front and center in the living room. I have made comments here and there about how I have one picture up from a long time ago. For context, my siblings are definitely the golden children. My mom makes snide comments about my profession and how my master's degree isn't that difficult. She makes comments about how I don't make enough money and my life choices as general. Over Thanksgiving I noticed there was still no picture up. I made a comment about not being the favorite and she told me that she didn't put one up because she was waiting for a good deal in the picture. So I lost it, and while yes, the picture does bother me, it was deeper than that. So I got upset and decided to leave early. So Ratatata.
I'm starting to feel like the strong one, and it's exhausting. Okay, so I guess this is one of those nights where everything hits at once. And I need to just say it somewhere that isn't gonna judge me. I've been solo traveling for a while now, and everyone, friends, family, even my boyfriend back home talks to me like I'm this super capable, emotionally steady person who's living her dream. And I try to keep that image up because I don't want anyone worrying or thinking I'm falling apart. But honestly, I'm tired of being the one who's always doing great. Tonight I'm sitting in this tiny cabin-style hostel in Oregon, and I just feel worn out. Not because anything bad happened, just because being the strong one means I don't get to say I'm overwhelmed without feeling like I'm disappointing people. My boyfriend texted earlier asking how the trip was going, and I almost told him I cried in the shower for no reason. But then I deleted it and just said good. Tired but good. I don't even know why it's like I'm scared of breaking the version of me he thinks he's dating. I know I chose this trip, and I'm glad I did. But somewhere along the way I started carrying this weird pressure to prove him fine all the time. Like if I admit him struggling, it means I wasn't cut out for this whole adventure thing in the first place. Maybe this is just me being dramatic on a quiet night, but it feels good to finally say it. I'm not always strong, I'm not always okay, and pretending I am is starting to feel heavier than any backpack I've carried on this trip.
Boyfriend says I don't put in enough effort but says cruel things when angry. Am I deflecting or is this unhealthy? My boyfriend am 23 and I have 21 are technically still together, but we recently had a major argument that's left me questioning whether I'm actually in the wrong or whether the relationship dynamic itself is unhealthy. During the argument, he told me that I bring nothing to the table and that he would give me some time to clean up my act or he would leave. I agreed in the moment because I was scared of losing him, but afterward I felt ashamed and worthless. The next day, he said his wording was wrong and apologized for how harsh it sounded, but said the core issue is that he feels I don't put in enough effort. He gave examples like he often buys us breakfast when he comes over and feels I don't reciprocate by offering to make something. Additionally, I didn't wish his mom a happy birthday. I've never met his mom and she barely knows I exist. That day we were already in a heated argument where he said he was pissed and that I was ungrateful for another issue we were having. I can understand wanting more reciprocity, but this argument didn't happen in isolation. A recurring issue in our relationship has been trust. He often assumes I'm cheating or being dishonest, even without evidence. He's accused me of checking other people out in public or posting pictures on social media for attention. He says this is because I've lied in the past. The lies he's referring to weren't about cheating, but about small things I didn't disclose because I didn't want to trigger his overthinking or escalate conflict. He tends to get very suspicious and anxious. I know lying is wrong, and I take responsibility for that, but it was more about trying to keep the peace than hiding anything serious. During arguments, especially when he's very angry, he tends to make demeaning or threatening comments that imply I'm easily replaceable or that being with me isn't beneficial to him. Afterward, he says he didn't mean those things and that they were said out of anger, and that I should focus on the message he's trying to convey rather than his wording or tone. The problem is that during conflict his tone becomes very mean and contemptuous. When I react to the way things are said or explain that it hurts me, he accuses me of deflecting instead of taking accountability. This leaves me feeling stuck because, if I react emotionally, I'm deflecting. If I explain context, I'm making excuses. If I go quiet, I'm not taking responsibility. Outside of arguments, he can be very sweet, understanding, and does a lot for me, which makes this dynamic even more confusing. The contrast between those moments and the way he speaks to me when he's angry leaves me constantly doubting myself. Over time, the relationship has started to feel transactional, like staying together depends on whether I meet certain standards, rather than us working through issues as a team. I'm open to self-reflection and growth, and I know I'm not perfect. I'm just struggling to tell whether I genuinely am not doing enough, or whether this pattern of communication, threats, and shifting expectations during conflict is emotionally unhealthy. I'm not trying to villainize him or excuse myself. I just want honest outside's perspective on whether this sounds like normal relationship conflict or red flags I shouldn't ignored.
I hate being the daughter of Muslim parents. This morning, my top twisted a little and a flash of skin was visible without me realizing. My mom then lectured me about covering my body and how disgusting a naked woman was. Bearing in mind it was on accident, I've been wanting to go a certain concert for months and I finally decided to bite the bullet and go. The last time I went to a concert I got home at 11 p.m. and my mother held an intervention for me. Literally she had all the men of the family corner me and tell me the dangers of a girl being out late, bearing in mind I'm always home by 6 p.m. every other day and regularly skip social events when I know they'll be running somewhat late. Just once I wanted to enjoy myself and they didn't speak to me for weeks after. It happened again yesterday. The headliner was due at 9 p.m. but came on at 9:30. I left at 10 p.m. to make it home by 10:30 to avoid the lectures. They still screamed at me and forbade me from going out. I don't even know why I bothered. I missed all of the best songs too. I am so tired. Whenever I go out I constantly get texts asking when I'll be home even when it's broad daylight. My commute to work used to be the only time I'd get away from them, but now my dad's shifts have changed and he insists on dropping me off and picking me up. They'll be waiting outside my work and my dad will wake up early just to drop me off. I'm so exhausted. The same restrictions aren't imposed on my teenage brother. I'm literally fucking 22.
AITA for refusing my bill to drive my new motorcycle over 80 kilometers one way. I, 25 meters, have a wife 27F. We currently live with her family. My mill needs to go to a family gathering 2 days before the rest of the household goes, so my stills and wife want my bill to bring her there. I acquired a new motorcycle, a Rox SP 3 days ago. I haven't even driven the motorcycle for a single drive over 50 kilometers. They want to use my motorcycle to bring her to the family gathering about 80 kilometers one way and have the motorcycle back after a few hours. Since motorcycle is new, I wanted to test the motorcycle's capabilities by bringing my mill to the gathering. The road to the gathering is going up a mountain, meaning you have ups and downs on the road. Their reason was because my bill has a bit more experience getting there and I am a heavier driver than my bill. I have had the same experience getting to the same place before on a different motorcycle. My wife says, it might be better for my bill to drive it that far since the motorcycle is heavier than my first one. To me, that doesn't really matter. What's important to me is the sentiment of having the first long ride of the motorcycle to driven by me, the owner, and not anybody else. AITA.
I accidentally got an email meant for a famous comedian, and answering it changed how I see myself as a father. I share a name with a famous comedian. Because of that, I randomly get emails from strangers who think they're reaching out to him. I used to delete them without a second thought. One morning I woke up, half asleep, and for some reason I replied to one. Just a short "Hey, wrong person, sorry." I didn't think anything of it, but the moment stuck with me. A week later, another email came in. This one was from a college kid who was clearly going through a lot at home. I don't know what came over me, but I wrote back. Not just a correction this time. I told him some of my own story. More than I've admitted to people who actually know me. I almost deleted it, but I sent it, and he replied with something so honest and grateful it stopped me in my tracks. He said feeling understood by a total stranger made him feel less alone, and weirdly, it made me feel the same. Here's the part I didn't expect. That single interaction made me look at my own life differently. Especially the part where I'm trying to be a steady father figure to a kid whose real dad walked away. I'm a stepdad, and I've always worried I'm messing it up or not enough. But helping that stranger made me realize something I've never said out loud. Maybe all the mistakes and shit I've been through are the exact things that allow me to show up for this kid the right way. Maybe I'm becoming the man I should have been sooner. It hit me harder than it probably should have. Sometimes redemption doesn't show up with fireworks. Sometimes it shows up in a random email meant for someone else. Just needed to get that off my chest.
AITA for not going to my own birthday party because I got sick. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving in the US and we're also celebrating my birthday with dinner. I got sick last week and I'm hitting the peak of the illness today. I have a fever and throwing up. My parents spent a lot of money for Thanksgiving. My mom wants me to go anyway and recover at my parents' house with everyone there. I'm debating whether I should go because I don't want to get anyone sick. AITA?
AITA for wanting my housemate's GF out of the house. Okay, so here's the situation. I allowed, or rather gave my okay to my housemates, we own the house together, girlfriend, to move in provided she pay a share of rent and utilities to the both of us. Well, she paid for maybe 2 months and then stopped paying anything and hasn't paid anything in over a year at this point. She also does not clean or do anything really and just spends 15-18 hours a day in bed on her phone, only leaving the house occasionally. And so I literally never have the house to myself. He leaves all the time for work, whatever. She also has not held a steady job in months, and when she did, they spent it on fast food and other crap. I have told him many times I want her out, and he agrees, but then constantly pushes time frames back or makes excuses. I have told him now I am done playing and I am drafting an eviction letter which he will either sign and she will be evicted, or I will force a partition sale on the house. He is an extremely good and long-time friend of mine, and I do not want this to happen like this, and I always want the best for him, which getting away from her certainly would be. Anyways, AITA for demanding her out of the house. I'll admit she's not necessarily literally in my way, but I do the majority of the housework and such, and she sits around all day, do nothing, not working, not contributing, and it infuriates me to no end, and I just cannot take it anymore.
AITA for yelling at my parents for taking my car without telling me. So I'm at work going to take my break and my car isn't in the parking lot. I start freaking out, assuming the worst, thinking someone stole it. It wasn't till I'm in the manager's office bawling my eyes out when I got their text. A damn text message is how they tell me. Their car needed an oil change, so instead of sitting around for 15-20 minutes, they took mine and thought a text message was good enough. Firstly, I'm at work doing my job, not staring at my phone. Second, the text got buried underneath all my other spam messages, so I was never going to see it first thing. And lastly, who is going to check their messages when they think their car is stolen? When I get home, I didn't yell at them. I just firmly told them that if they're going to borrow my car, they need to verbally tell me, which immediately escalated to an all-out screaming match. They just left to go pick up my brother, and I'm extra pissed at them now.
AITA for finally telling my whole office to fuck off when they needed me at 2 a.m. on a Saturday. I am the only senior dev at a 40-person startup who actually knows how the system works. For the last 3 years, I've been everyone's unofficial therapist, tech support, life coach, literally from fixing mobile phones, to fixing marriages, to making coffees, to I don't know what else, driving to CEO's lake house for literally 90 minutes to recover his kid's Minecraft world, and many more examples. I never asked for anything. People just said thank you and maybe bought me a beer once a year. Last week, my girlfriend and I got in some really fucked up problems in our relationship, and I might have said some things. We are together for 8 years. I was a wreck, took 2 personal days, posted exactly 1 message in the general Slack at 9 p.m. Friday, really going through it right now. If anyone's free for a quick call or a drink tomorrow, I could use a friend. 0 replies, not one. Whole weekend, nothing. Then Saturday 1:57 a.m, the head of sales pings me, hey man, sorry to bug you, but my external hard drive isn't mounting and it has the deck for the investor meeting Monday morning. Can you swing by? I'll Venmo you. Blah blah. I lost it. Replied in the main channel, after 3 years of fixing your divorces, your laptops, your kids' homework, and your porn-filled hard drives at all hours, not a single one of you could spare 10 minutes when I actually needed someone. Go pay a professional. I'm done. Now half the company thinks I'm unhinged and not a team player. CEO sent me a but icy message about maintaining a supportive culture. Sales guy is telling everyone I killed the deal and blah blah. I feel guilty because the company is small and people do have real emergencies sometimes. But also I'm so tired of being the office husband nobody reciprocates for. AITA for finally drawing the line. Or should I have just kept being the doormat?
AITA on the living situation with my sis. AITA Wibta. My sister, myself and my sister's GF all moved in together about a year ago. I had told them that I didn't want to be on the lease because I wasn't sure if I wanted to move out or move back home to Texas. They seemed to have no problem and looked and signed for an apartment together. After about 8 months of living together, they broke up and her ex-GF moved back with her mom. My sister asked me to put my name on the lease so her ex ex-GF can get off the lease. I told her that was something I didn't want to do and that the lease ended soon either way. Or so I thought. I have no clue when a lease is supposed to end. But because we had almost been there a year that it was almost going to end. My sister is throwing ideas of wanting to look for a new place or renew the lease. She decided that she was going to renew the lease and we had to decided that I was going to put my name on the lease when she renews it. While I'm submitting the documents she's giving me smart comments and I said, you know, I think it's best we live separate. A while has passed and we get into a heated argument talking about the lease and she kicks me out of the apartment and after a few hours text me that I can come back inside. I didn't feel safe and ended up moving out 2 weeks later. The lease is ending December 10th and she is going to pay $1,000 for December. I paid for my half of November's rent and even though I left 2 weeks early I didn't want to fight about the money. She is asking me to pay $500 of the $1,000 because it is my fault I backed out of signing the lease last minute. I told her if she needed help paying December's rent she could have asked me to stay but that she had texted me to leave whenever when she kicked me out and that I have already paid for my part of November and was not there for half of the month. Am I the asshole for not wanting to sign the lease when her ex had left and for not paying the $500?
AITA. What's the protocol for dietary restrictions? AITA, a volunteer group that I'm on the board of, is having a holiday social next week. Just 5 of us board members. It's a potluck. Today I was told that I can't bring anything with onions, because one member has allergies. Okay, I get that. Then I'm told that she is vegan so every dish has to be vegan. I think this is ridiculous and that she can bring a vegan dish, but we shouldn't be required to. I'm conflicted.
Whipped for celebrating my own birthday instead of visiting relatives for their birthdays. Throwaway and fake names for obvious reasons. I 24 have the misfortune of having a December birthday, which means it falls during the hectic mess of the holidays. This year my partner 25 Jordan and I have planned a week-long staycation where we call out of work and spend the week together gaming and chill hangouts with friends as we are both burnt out from our jobs. My sister 38 Izzy has 4 kids 7 meters, 5F, and 2 twins turning 1. Her twins and 5F all have birthdays around the same week as my birthday as well as her husband. This morning Izzy sent me a picture of the invite celebrating all of their birthdays, focusing on the twins the weekend of my staycation. One thing to note about my sister, she takes occasions like this very seriously. She designed the invite herself on Canva. I try my best to attend the really important ones like baptisms and holidays, Thanksgiving coming up for example, but the main issue for me is travel. It would be one thing if they were nearby and I can easily pop in and say hi, but they live about 1.5 hours in a rural part of the state, whereas I live in the city without a car, grown up relying on public transit, never learned to drive straight. The alternatives for commuting there are either train 4 hours going and back, total $75.80, or I drive up with my parents who live in the same city as me, but they leave on Friday, day of my actual birthday. I'm seeing my sister this weekend for Thanksgiving and I want to tell her that I already have plans with my partner and friends for my birthday, and I don't plan on changing that as we both specifically called out of work and made plans to relax. But whipped to if I told her I'm missing a kid's b-day to celebrate my own. I already plan on sending gifts for them, respectively birthday and Christmas gifts, cause I know what that's like growing up SMH. But is there a gentler way I should approach this?
AITA. My sister's baby is coming after 8 years of trying, and my cousins got mad that I offered my kids old clothes. Am I wrong? My sister is finally having her first child this December after 8 long years of trying, and the whole family is over the moon. This baby honestly feels like a miracle. During a family chat, I mentioned that I planned to give my sister some of my children's old infant clothes. I had triplets at once, so I'm done having kids, and honestly, those clothes are still in great condition. I figured it was both practical and sentimental. Growing up, wearing your older siblings' hand-me-downs was even considered a flex where we're from. But everyone looked at me like I'd said something awful. My cousins made comments about how a miracle baby deserves brand new everything. I was honestly stunned. I don't see what's wrong with giving gently used clothes, especially when they're clean, cute, and barely worn. Anyway, after their reaction, to show some remorse, I did buy some new ones. I ended up ordering just 2 new outfits and a pair of cotton shoes to come in with my Alibaba phone casing and accessories business order. I also crocheted a couple of little shirts, shorts, and a gown for my sister myself. Now I'm wondering, was I really out of line here? Would you guys be upset if someone offered hand-me-downs for a long-awaited baby?
Got a positive STD test result. Got a positive result for chlamydia 2 days ago now. I got the call from my GP the other morning letting me know what my STD results were. Went in a few days ago and thought they'd come back clear because I hadn't noticed anything different or off. The only reason I got it was because I was sleeping with a new person and it wasn't monogamous, and got told it came back positive for chlamydia. I know it's a simple fix and I literally just need to take a round of antibiotics and go back in for another test in a month or so. But I can't help but feel beyond disgusted at myself for letting this happen, and so fucking hurt as well. Like, I knew he was sleeping with other people, we're FWB, so it wasn't a big deal, though I was only active with him since we started. But I thought he'd at least get checked regularly or something. And despite feeling so disgusted at myself and ashamed, I'm also beyond angry at him because his response to me telling him was, "I don't think it was me." So, like what? I was on the verge of tears and had to get my friend to tell him he needed to get tested. He's also slept with someone else who got chlamydia shortly after, and we didn't know the connection until now, and that's all I had to say. I feel like this isn't even making any sense right now, but I just needed somewhere I was able to get this out to try and make it feel real. But like, the only thing that feels real about this situation is the fact that I'm filthy and disgusting because of this.
AITA for fighting with my landlord over parking. We have a parking right next to our trapped building, but instead of being accessible to the residents, its only use is for the landlord's office. Most of the day the parking is empty, also every night. He doesn't live here, just his office, and still he won't let anyone park there besides his employees and contractors.
I saved a girl when I was 16 in the psych ward, but now I found out she's a vegetable. When I was 16 I was in an adolescent unit due to my depression hitting an all-time high and me coming clean about wanting to off myself. I was put in a room with a girl upon arrival who seemed really nice. She made me feel welcomed and all that stuff. One night after she got off the phone with her mom and stepdad, she was sobbing hysterically. I tried to ask her what was wrong, but she said that she was fine. Bedtime came around and we eventually went to sleep. I woke BC. I was thirsty around 4 am and went to fill my cup up bathroom sink, as one of the night nurses was a total BTCH and would mark you down as uncooperative if you came out of your room after 11 p.m. Anyways, my roommate had managed to find a way to hang herself by ripping her bedsheet apart and tying it to several different objects in the bathroom. I started screaming and grabbed one of the strips of the bedsheet and she fell down. She wasn't breathing and got sent to a different hospital for ICU. I found out today that due to that she's a vegetable in a wheelchair due to the amount of time her brain went without oxygen. Her paternal aunt is her full-time caretaker as her mom and stepdad didn't have the resources. I feel guilty that due to me saving her she has to suffer, and I carry that with me all the time now.
My family promised my kids a present I can't afford. Update: in the last 24 hours things have started looking up. I found a couple of Christmas puzzles for less than a $1 at a charity shop to build with the kids, since all three love jigsaws. I got offered a government house back where my older two kids are so they can move home with me, telling them that news made their Christmas, I'm sure. And I had a neighbor bring me an entire frozen turkey because he doesn't like turkey and thought my kids would eat it. I'm so furious right now. My family have told my three kids I would be organize a special experience Christmas present for them. I can't even afford to live through the rest of the year, let alone pay for anything for Christmas. A few months ago I could have afforded, but no one plans to suddenly become disabled and unable to work. Somehow my family decided I had enough in savings to still afford the gift, but I had almost nothing in savings. They have been dropping hints to my kids about going on a holiday, Build-A-Bear, zoo, aquarium, etc., hyping them up for this maybe holiday that I'm apparently supposed to be paying for, but I don't have the money. I've already been fighting depression and this isn't helping. I have made it clear to my family I can't afford it, but they keep hitting me with things like, sure you can, you just need to budget maybe if you didn't waste money on random junk. I literally can't cover rent, groceries and bills without buying junk. My account is literally always in debt. Why would you put me in this place? Like, what kind of shit family do you have to be to do this to me? I'm done with Christmas this year.
AITA for interrupting my friend while she was speaking by like 4 words. AITA for interrupting my friend while she was speaking by like 4 words. Hi, I 31F and my best friend of 10 years 31F work at the same place. As we're done with our lunch break, she asked if she should get the money from a colleague she bought a dress for. My friend has a track record of buying things for people without taking the money because a lot of the times she's too shy about it. So when she said to me, should I go get the money for the dress while showing discomfort about it, I enthusiastically told her something along the line of, dude, of course yes, let's go. Then she said well, it was supposed to be a surprise for her mother and she was referring to the fact that she gave it to a colleague in front of her mother. I thought she was feeling bad for nearly ruining the surprise and needed some encouragement. The colleague never indicated that it was a surprise before, and I told her something along the line of, you're doing her a favor, so what? So my friend snapped at me for interrupting her and told me that I misunderstood her point. While snapping isn't uncommon of her, I thought that's the extent of it. A few minutes after she reopened the subject and berated me more, to the point that I got teary-eyed. So am I the asshole for interrupting my friend as she was explaining something and I misunderstood her intent?
AITA for not offering the bathroom handicap stall for a handicapped person. This happened at Disneyland. I went to a bathroom that was mixed with regular stalls and 2 handicapped stalls. One handicapped stall's lock was not working and one was busy. I asked if the person behind me, the caretaker of the handicapped person, could hold the door for me and the stroller, but quickly said sorry and that probably won't work. She said in a kind of passive-aggressive voice, by the way, I actually need the handicapped stall. They aren't meant for strollers. It's according to the law. That's illegal. I let her go ahead because I didn't want to get into a heated argument in front of my toddler. Some of my friends said she was being a jerk, but some of them said, oh, you should have offered them to go ahead from the beginning, AITA.